All right. One really big coaching change was announced. Another somewhat big. Hello, welcome to the Quarter Guard. To start, we'll go with the one that was announced earlier today. The Miami Dolphins and Vic Fangio have mutually agreed to part ways, and this is believed because Fangio wants to take the vacant DC job over in Philly to be closer to family. I respect that, and at first I was taken aback by it. I was kind of confused because Fangio ran a pretty solid defense, especially once Ramsey came back. But I saw some of the actions of the players and kind of really thought about it and was like, yeah, this makes sense for both sides. The players clearly weren't fully happy with how things were being ran on the defense side of the ball. And Fangio was stubborn at times with how he ran the defense. When Ramsey did come back from injury, he rarely shadowed the other team's number one receiver. Ramsey likes to move around while playing defense. That's just who he is. The other thing is, Eli Apple clearly wasn't playing well when he did get defensive snaps, and Fangio never gave Cam Smith a shot to prove himself within the defense. So those were two big things that really, from the player's perspective, why I get that they didn't really like Fangio around. His kind of stubbornness, he didn't really adjust, it seemed at times. So what's next for Miami? The internal option is Antonio Campanelli, who became most well known due to his Hard Knocks appearance, and he was a guy Miami was looking at last offseason. They interviewed him, and he's kind of an up and coming coaching candidate. The Giants were interested in him for their DC job this offseason, so if he doesn't get the Miami job, he might get the New York job. Other names I've seen thrown around are Sean Desai. He was in Philly this past year, and I do not want Sean Desai. Their Phillies defense regressed between their Super Bowl appearance here to this past season, so I'm not really looking at Sean Desai as a real candidate. Same with Brandon Staley. I saw his name thrown around. I don't expect Brandon Staley to get really any considerations for Miami. I've seen some people say, kind of in a joking way, Bill Belichick. He ain't going to turn into a DC. And if Fangio didn't work out, Belichick sure as hell ain't going to work out in Miami. I expect Belichick to get the Atlanta job. Another name I've seen thrown out is Wink Martindale. And that could work. That's definitely my number one outside option, but I think I would prefer Campanelli. Campanelli is a guy the players have rallied behind, and they've clearly made known that they like Campanelli in the organization. He has some DC experience due to his time at Boston College, and I just think it would be a good thing that Miami finally takes an internal option at a position. We saw in the past divisional round that two previous interim head coaches for Miami were playing against each other. I want to see Miami finally just, hey, you have a lot of potential. We want to make sure we have you since you're already in the building. If Campanelli leaves to New York and he becomes a great DC, there's going to be questions for me for Stephen Ross and how he handles these procedures. Because you let Todd Bowles go, he goes to the Jets, becomes a head coach, he does decently well, then goes to Tampa, and now they're just won the division and made the divisional round. And then you let Dan Campbell go, he spent some time under Sean Payton, and now he has the Lions looking like the best version of the Lions we've ever seen. So I would love to see Campanelli stay in-house. Now for the second big coaching news. As of like 20 minutes ago, as the time of recording this, Jim Harbaugh is the new head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. He returns to the organization that gave him a shot. He played in San Diego for about 2 years. And he's bringing to an organization that's really needed some just competency at the head coach position. He's bringing a great NFL head coaching record, an even better college head coaching record. He made a Super Bowl with the 49ers. He just won the national championship at Michigan after 3 straight college football playoff appearances. He is the exact guy the Chargers have needed as head coach for years. To me, they become instant, at least division winner contenders. I think they can easily win the division next year if he has the type of offseason I think people expect him to have. Just bringing in guys, their defense has a lot of talent on there. Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. So I definitely think he could be the missing piece. Normally, we don't talk about coaches as the missing piece to a team. Harbaugh could 100% be that for the Chargers. Now, he was expected to interview for the Atlanta job tomorrow. This now opens the door very easily for Belichick to get that job, so I would not be surprised if by tomorrow or Friday we get that announcement. And this is going to shift some things around. The AFC West now has three high quality, experienced head coaches, and then Antonio Pierce, who is a guy that the Raiders locker room really loves. So the AFC West can finally be that competitive division we were all expecting them to be a few years ago. Obviously, we have to wait to see what Miami does at DC, but if they do play their cards right, I expect them to be just fine on the defensive end. To have the talent and someone who has been under McDaniel and can fit with McDaniel's style of coaching would go a long way to make the locker room more complete in Miami. Give me your thoughts. Who do you think Miami gets at DC? How do you think the Chargers are going to pan out next season? We still have a long ways to go. The Super Bowl is 3 weeks away. I hope you all have a damn good one.